Hello, my name is Becky and I'm currently the Ladies Club Captain of Tynebridge Harriers. My favourite thing about being a member of the running club is that you get to keep fit on a weekly basis, but also you get to spend lots of those hours with your friends. The Great North Run is one of my favourite running races in the calendar. I've now done it 7 times. The first time I ever entered, I wanted just to break the 2-hour mark for a half marathon, and I've been able to get that time down to 1:34. My favourite thing about the Great North Run though, has got to be the atmosphere. I never get tired of the atmosphere. It is electric every single year, and also the many inspiring stories that you see when you're running around just makes me want to re-enter this race every single year. Hello,
I did my first Great North Run in 2008. It took me 2 hours 33 minutes. I'd never really done any exercise before. I did some training, but not a sufficient amount to run a half marathon. It was a real struggle, but it made me realise that I needed to change. I needed to ditch some unhealthy habits. I needed to change the food I was eating, what I was putting in my body. I averaged, after that year, I've done the Great North Run every year, I averaged in and around 2 hours. Always wanted to do better, but just didn't apply myself enough. In 2017, I joined the Harriers. I got into a comfort zone in Group 4, where it was the kind of pace that I was used to running. So the following year, I didn't make any improvement on my time. However, the year after, I moved up a group into Group 3, where they run slightly faster. I got used to that slightly higher pace, and I got a personal record of 1 hour 46. For nutrition on the day, I use Cis Gels, but there's plenty of people along the course that'll give you a jelly bean, a nice pop, an orange, pretty random food along the way, but they keep you energised. I did my
In 2018, I completed the Great North Run, which was a massive surprise because I would never have thought I was able to do it. It had always been on my bucket list. Obviously, being a Geordie, I think everybody wants to run it. But in my mid to late 20s, I'd only ever really done a mile or two. So it seemed like it was way beyond my capability. But I'd started to do park run, which is a 5 kilometre run on a Saturday morning. And I'd then done a couple of 10k runs. So I'd started to build my distance over about a year. Definitely a plodder, not very fast. So again, the Great North Run still felt like it was not something that I was going to be able to do. And then a charity that I really care about had some places available. And I just thought, like, why not? So signed up for it, and I just started the training. So you kind of start off with your shorter distances, so 5 to 10, and then you kind of start to move up a little bit more. So I ended up doing a couple of 10 miles runs, which were really hard but were really important to get under the belt. And I am a type 1 diabetic, so I run with an awful lot of sweets, sugar, and that's like a big part of my training was trying to work out how much sugar I needed to make sure that my sugar levels didn't drop too much. But when I crossed the finish line at just over 3 hours, it felt like a real achievement. Probably not one that I'm going to do again, but it was a really joyful experience having done that fantastic run.
I've been a member of Tynebridge Harriers now for about 7 years, and I joined the club before I ran my first Great North Run. Joining a running club, people think it's just for people who are quick or fit, but it's for everyone. And whichever running club you choose to join, they'll be very welcoming. It's a really great way to meet people and to do varied runs, mix things up a bit, and find new routes for your runs, which is really important when you're training, because otherwise it can get a bit boring. So one thing that's good to do to prepare for the Great North Run is make sure you're drinking plenty of water. It's also good to put a little pinch of salt in it, or use an electrolyte tablet. People can sometimes forget about that and just concentrate on drinking the water, but you can be too hydrated if you don't have the right electrolytes in the water. I don't really think that much about food before the Great North Run. A lot of people recommend pasta, but I tend to eat balanced diet anyway, so my advice would be just don't eat anything that's particularly fatty, or that you haven't had before, or a curry, something like that.
Hi, I'm Sandy. Age 70, I'm one of the oldest members of Tynebridge Harriers. I've run 11 Great North runs over the years. My first Great North run was the first time I'd ever run the half marathon distance. From my experience, to enjoy the event, your regular running or jogging needs to be for at least a third of that distance, preferably more. In other words, at least 7 kilometers or further. An endurance event, being low on carbs and liquid means not enjoying yourself. The evening before the Great North Run, carb load. The popular choice is a big pasta meal. On the day of the Great North Run, have a big breakfast. You have time before the start. During the run, carry easy nibbles like raisins or jelly babies. Even if you don't feel thirsty when you reach a drink station, do take some. It will be a while until the next one.
I love running with Tynebridge Harriers because the huge range of people of different abilities and from different walks of life that I get to meet. And it's introduced me to new kinds of running which I hadn't done before. Before joining Tynebridge Harriers, I had only been a road runner, but it's introduced me to running on a track, running the trails, and getting out into fell running as well. On a long run, like a half marathon or a marathon, then normally I'd have a big plate of pasta the night before, and then a good bowl of porridge in the morning, and then I would need something for energy on the way, like some jelly babies, which people give out on the Great North Run along the way, so you don't even have to carry them, or maybe an energy gel. It was the Great North Run that first got me into running. I hadn't run since school, and then I wanted to raise money for charity, and so I entered the run and did 6 months training for it. And I really wasn't sure if I could manage a half marathon when I started out. But by the end of it, I did far better than I ever expected and had an absolutely amazing day.
The first time I ran the Great North Run was 2011. I've done it twice, I did 11 and 12. And I ran for Cash for Kids, a local charity that helps children in the North East with opportunities. And I'd got injured on the way up to the first of those runs, and I'd hurt my calf muscle, and I became a little bit obsessed with whether or not I'd get round on the day. And when I turned up on the day, I wasn't ready to see the amount of emotion that would be in people and the different reasons that they were running. And I found that a really humbling experience to see people who were going to struggle to get around and knew it was going to be really, really hard, but they had a very personal reason for doing so, and it gave me a lot of strength and energy to go around myself, because I wasn't suffering in anything like the kind of same ways that they were, emotionally and personally. So the Great North Run is a fantastic race to be part of, and I think it's something that a lot of people can be very proud of, and it means a lot personally.
Thank you.